What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Corporate Bartender. We focus on the people side of business here at the Bartender, and today we are squarely there. We're talking about bucket lists, unwritten rules of leading people. We're talking about bitching and pitching, and maybe a little bit of drunk HR. Yeah, that's going to be a thing. We've got Traci Austin on the program today. Don't know Traci? We've got your back, so stick around. She's a business owner, consultant, speaker, and coach. She's the host of the People Strategy podcast, and she's pretty dang awesome. This was a killer conversation, and I think you're going to dig it. So buckle up, TCBers, grab your favorite cocktail, and let's get right on into it with Traci Austin on today's TCB.
Welcome to Sky Team's The Corporate Bartender, where we gather some of the best HR and people leaders to discuss what's happening on the people side of business. Now pull up a stool, belly up to the bar, and join us for The Corporate Bartender.
Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. It's your favorite day and mine. It is Corporate Bartender Day. It is the 28th of May, 2025. It is the last Wednesday of May. Ruby, you know what that means. Pumpkin spice season right around the corner. Right around the corner. It's almost
that's a thumbs
Christmas.
down, but yeah, it feels like it a little bit.
This is the 224th time that we have gathered this group of amazing people. And today's going to be a fun day. We have a guest. She's the person that's not me or Ruby in your view today. Her name is Traci Austin. She's an HR thought leader, business owner, host of the People Strategy podcast. And I'm calling her the mastermind behind the concept of drunk HR because we had a conversation a few months ago and this topic came up and I was on board right out of the gate. Drunk HR. We will explain what that means, and we'll also let you know how you can help because we're going to need to crowdsource some good juicy stories from HR. So go ahead and let that percolate while we get things ramped up here today. Before we get into our conversation, though, I know TCB has been dark a lot. It's been darker more than it's been lit. So just going to keep that train rolling. Next Wednesday, June 4th, we will be dark. Not because of work travel, but Ruby, look at the icons. There's a little beach. Ruby and I and Lori and I don't know, a dozen other people will be in Mexico next week. So we won't be here, nor will we be doing this. We will be creating our own drunk HR stories in Mexico.
Accurate.
But today it's all about Traci. Like I said, she is a certified HR professional. She's got more than 2 decades of experience building HR departments. We really vibed on that whole lifer and HR experience because if you've done it, man, you've got stories to tell. So she's built those departments from the ground up. She is the host of the People Strategy podcast, which you can see right there, and the mastermind behind Drunk HR, as we talked about. She's also works with Elevated Talent Consulting. So they do HR consulting in the trade space. So she uses that expertise to apply behavioral concepts. She helps with recruiting, retention, talent pathing, all the HR stuff, coaching, motivation, and leadership. We're going to talk today about a framework that she has that is named almost as good as drunk HR. It's called Stop Bitching and Start Pitching. So we're going to get into that today. But we didn't warn her. And you know what we like to do, Traci? We like to dance people onto the show here. So let's give Traci a warm TCB welcome, shall we? There it is. Yes. I leave the music playing until the guest dances. Awesome. Traci, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, we always start with a little bit of an origin story question. So I imagine that when you were just a wee baby, you didn't say, I'm going to grow up and do this HR talent consulting stuff. Tell us a little bit about how your story started and how it's going today.
Yeah. I was going to be a physical therapist. I'm like, I'm never going into HR. My mom was in HR. I'm not going into HR.
Oh, so you come by it honestly then.
It's like, I'm not doing that. And guess what? Dad is, in construction. So where did I end up? Like, what happened?
So you run an HR consulting practice that deals with the construction and building trades. Awesome. Yeah. Your parents must be so proud.
No.
No.
Like, where did this go wrong?
Oh, that's awesome. Tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you get from I want to be a physical therapist to doing what you do today?
Math and science is hard. When you take, was it stats 3 times and D equals degree after the 3rd time, and the professor looks at you and goes, you're not getting a D because you earned it from the grade. You're getting a D because you earned it because you showed up to talk to me every day and you never got it.
And they're like, I don't want to see you here again next semester. So please move on.
And that was the for real conversation. So I was like, okay. I'm like, but I really have shown up and tried. He's like, yes, you have.
A for effort. D for showing up.
I mean something. We all have the things we're really good at. This is why getting in the right job and fit to role is so important.
What's good? That's one of your offerings at Elevated.
I mean, if you got a D in it, the 3rd time around, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
I love it. Well, tell us a little bit about your podcast. You run a podcast. You've been doing it for a little while. We were talking in the pre-show. You're number 2 on somebody's list of 1 million podcasts.
Oh, I know.
You're in there with Gartner and McKinsey. Tell us a little bit about what is the People Strategy Podcast and why would people care?
So the People Strategy Podcast is really all about the stories of people strategies folks have implemented in their organizations that actually did something that got a result. I mean, there's so many things you hear about it and you're like, yeah, but what did it do? Like, did you make revenue on it? Like, did you keep people? So we do talk to real people about what they're doing and a lot of trade conversations. I just talked to a gentleman today that runs a 25-person construction firm and what he's done to really retain folks for life. And this idea about here's our commitment to you. And here's what we hope your commitment is to us. And he goes, we don't care if they work out or not, but we're going to treat everybody as if they do. And more often than not, they will. I mean, this powerful mindset.
Wow. I mean, say that again. We're going to treat people as if they're going to work out, right?
Yeah.
Always, even if they don't.
Always.
Versus hedging our bets like so many of us do when new folks come into the organization.
I know. It's like, where's the poker table? But no, they're not playing that game.
I love that. When you do the podcast, like what are some of the biggest aha takeaways, pearls of wisdom that you've gotten from having these conversations with folks just over the past few months? What's jumping out at you?
Okay. Can we see if we get a pearl? Can I turn the tables? What Eric is, or Ruby, or Morag, I don't care. I have a question. What is your work bucket list item for this year? Dun, 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 dun. Thank you. That's so much better than mine.
I got it all. I'll go ahead and give one. Morag has been working on a new keynote. I just went and did a keynote in Dallas a few weeks ago. Keynoting, like in my workflow channel, I spend most of my time doing team development work, leadership development programs, and executive coaching to a smaller degree. Keynoting is something that for me, I do ad hoc, one-off. Somebody calls and says, hey, we want you to come talk at a thing. I don't market it. I don't submit to stuff. I do when people want me to come hang out. I would like to do that at least one more time this year and quarterly next year.
Okay. So how do you define a keynote? Is it X number of people? Is it opening or closing a conference? Like, what is it?
So welcome to the People Strategy Podcast, everybody. This is Traci. She's your host. It could be all of those things, right? It's a one-to-many venue that is not a workshop. And when I say it's not a workshop, it is not a deep dive on a framework or a model that involves a lot of participant work to be done. It is a high-level conversation about a big idea, and it's one to many. So for me, that is 1 to 100 or more. And it could be part of a wider conference. The thing I did in Dallas a couple weeks ago, I was the kickoff to the conference. So I was the rah guy, get everybody all fired up. And then I had a friend of mine who was the close it down guy. So we bookended that conference. This is a 3-day conference of 250, 300 people.
Amazing. So what's on your personal bucket list, Eric? Ruby's cracking up over here.
I know. Ruby likes to watch me twist on the hook.
I can do that one if you want, or do you want to think about it, Eric?
I want Eric to do it because I'm going to tie it together, and then I'm going to give you the wisdom.
Perfect.
Yeah. So personal bucket list. I've already done it for this year. An item on my bucket list. I am a Boston Red Sox fan, and I came to that via my father-in-law, who passed away a couple of years ago, who was a lifelong Boston Red Sox fan. And as he was winding down his time here on this coil, he said to me, I fully expect you to take and carry the mantle for the Sox when I can't do it. And I was like, aye, Captain, I'm on it. Let's do this. So I wanted to go see a game at Fenway. I had never been to Fenway. So 3 weeks ago, I think, Ruby and I were in Boston with a client, and there was a Thursday afternoon day game, and we decided that we were going to do that. There were some friends here from Colorado who happened to be out there for somebody's birthday. So we all went in a big group, sat 3 rows behind home plate. It was magical.
Incredible. And so you actually did what the tie-in here is when we're talking with our team members, figuring out what it is that's important to them work-wise. And a lot of times that is a little bit outside of their current scope of work. But when we can do that and tie it into a personal bucket list item, i.e., guess what? You're going to keynote a conference in Boston where you can go to a Boston Red Sox game.
Yes. Yes.
But when we can do this for our people, it shows them that we care, that we're listening, and that we're championing them as a whole person. And that is really fun. And so to your TCB listeners that book keynotes, Eric is looking for 4 next year. So make sure you book them.
Again, welcome to the People Strategy Podcast with my agent, Traci Austin.
All right, I'm done. You can go back to hosting.
No,
Mike is handed back.
I love it. And I love that connection. And it makes me think of a framework that we use that's in Morag's first book. And it's in our book, which is right here on the shelf here. Everybody at this show knows it. You, me, we, Why We All Need a Friend at Work and How to Show Up is one. And we have a framework called the 4 yeses. And there is 4 questions. And if we answer yes to all 4 of these questions, we're in what we call an ally relationship. And the questions are this. They're real simple. It's, can I count on you? Can I depend on you? Do I care about you? And do I trust you? And what you were just hitting on is literally, it's the care question. Do I care about you enough to know your story, to know what's important to you personally, to know what's important to you professionally, and to know how those things link up? Because if I know those things as the leader of the team, or as your manager, or as just a coworker of yours, right, I can help you get there.
Yep.
Intentionally or unintentionally, cosmically, energetically. Like, if we're both vibing on the same thing, then those things are more likely to happen.
Yep, absolutely. And many times as a leader, your job is to connect the dots where they can't see the dot connections. Does that make sense? Yes, totally makes sense.
It does. And I want you to say more about that, because that's one of those that's one of those responsibilities that's not listed in the job description of a leader. And if I'm a new leader, like, how do I understand that? Like, what is the light bulb moment for me to understand that I need to be connecting those things?
You mean like reading between the lines and dancing in the gray?
That stuff. Without getting into drunk HR story.
Yes,
territory.
no, drunk, not yet anyways. We want your drunk HR stories anonymously. We'll talk
or not, whatever. It's your choice.
I mean, we want to make sure that the innocent stays innocent here. However, so for that new leader, so often what we see happen is people won't tell us what they want, right? Mm-hmm. This is going to get me into the stop bitching, start pitching here in a second. But people don't tell us what they want. What they do tell us is all the things that they don't want.
Yeah.
And so often our job as a leader is to get really curious about what folks don't want and what they're complaining about, to really start to understand, so what are you actually asking? Well, I just want to go to a Boston Red Sox game. Well, you're going to be in Boston, keying in a conference. Why don't you go?
Keep saying it, Traci.
I can do that? Yeah. So one of the key jobs of a leader is something I call permissioning.
Okay.
So it's like that old saying of dare to dream, and I grew up with a big leader in our town really talking about daring to dream and daring people to dream bigger than they think is possible. And so much of those questions are, those bucket list questions are about what do you really want to do? What do you want to do for your career? What do you want to do in your life? And so often we've been told you can't do that. There's not enough money. There's not enough this. There's not enough that. And so that leader's job is balancing this. Here's the goals of the organization and of the team, but what are the goals of my people? And if I can permission them to think bigger than they see themselves and tie that in with those work outcomes, we've got a win-win, and I don't have to poke you to do it. You're going to want to do it.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. Well, you in the setup, you leaked that framework again. So let's talk about it. It's called Stop Bitching and Start Pitching. What is that? What does it mean? And how do we do this?
Yeah. So isn't the title fun, by the way?
It's so fun.
So do you want the story of the title first? Because it is fun.
Well, I mean, we might as well. We're here.
So I'm keynoting a conference, or maybe it wasn't a keynote. I don't know. But it was like a 5,000 person conference. It was like, he's like, so what should we call this? And essentially it was this idea of every complaint is a poorly worded request. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, And he's like, well, what do you really mean by that, Traci? I'm like, it's kind of like every time you're out in the field or I'm out in the field and I'm talking to someone, they're just constantly bitching. They're bitching that, it's too hot or it's too cold or they don't have this or so-and-so didn't show up on time. So it's like, but they're never telling you what they want and they're never happy. He's like, so what'd you call it? I'm like, just stop bitching and start pitching. Like, make the damn request that you want. And he goes, that's a good title. And I go, we can't use that. He goes, why not? It's like, you sure?
Your HR person inside says it says bitching in it and people are going to get offended. So we can't say that.
Well, here's the best part. And this is a landscape conference, right? So it's construction and whatnot. And I walk in and I'm wearing jeans and a sweater. It's January. And I'm like, there is something about showing up with your audience, I truly believe. And there's time to show up in your heels too, let me tell you. However, so I show up and the lady at the door is greeting and I'm like, I'm your speaker. And she kind of looks me up and down. She's like, really? I go, yeah. She's like, I don't think that you can say bitching, or she didn't even say it. She's like, you can't say the B word because we can't say it at work. And I just looked at her and I go, do you think any of your employees say bitching? And she's like, well, it's not allowed in our culture. It's like,
oh, in a landscaping company.
Yeah. You're like, can I say stop fucking bitching and start pitching?
So I will go into my first complaint.
No.
Love this more. All right, you want to know our first complaint?
Yep, go.
No one wants to work anymore.
Yep, I hear that one. I think that's a complaint that everybody has said about, the kids today, every generation.
Every generation.
Yeah.
Every generation.
All right, so no one wants to work anymore. That's the bitch. Now what?
Well, what are the facts around it?
Well, nobody comes to work. They can't get someone to show up and do my landscaping job.
I know, but that's the story you're tying around it. So if we dig in and get the facts, I'm going to give us facts just so we can move on, right? And this is a client story, right? So 89% of turnover in the first 90 days at one specific location. Mm-hmm. So when we hire somebody within 90 days, 89% of them are gone. Okay. So complaint.
That is pretty rough turnover. That's pretty rough turnover. Just to be honest. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, it is. It's very rough turnover, meaning we're only keeping out of 100 people, 11% in the first 90 days. That has created a hell of a job for HR. There's some drunk HR stories there. However, moving on. My favorite drunk HR story is when I was an intern. So this is dating. I was an intern and I was in a recruiting internship and we were hiring customer service reps. And this girl comes in and her name was also Traci. She's like, and she's wearing a white tank top with no bra on, Hello Kitty slippers, SpongeBob pajama pants.
Wow.
And she reeks of alcohol.
Nice.
All right. I mean, that's a choice.
Yeah.
You got to think that she looked at herself in the mirror before leaving the house and went, yeah.
Killing it.
I mean, there was something there, right? I didn't think, man, I had not thought of that story in a long time. That one pulled out of back pocket. I don't know. All right. So no one wants to work anymore. We've got 89% turnover in the first 90 days. So the question really becomes, what is the real complaint? And so how do we get to the complaint once we have the fact? So is it a no one wants to work anymore complaint? Is it we're hiring warm bodies? Is it we have we're not putting the right people in the right role? Is it our culture's awful? Is it we are... Is it there's vodka in the water bottle? I don't know.
So what was the aha moment for this leader when you were having this conversation with him? Like, what was the fact that he went, oh, maybe that's it, Traci?
It was multiple. It was they were hiring warm bodies. It was that the leadership team, the way that they were talking about their people was really negative. So
and they do. People know.
Yeah. And so there was a number of things that shifted. And this is such a cool story because the way that they shifted it, they completely pulled in. So they reduced that turnover by 40%. And they saved $500,000 within 6 months of working with us. So if you want some numbers, right? Like numbers are really important at times, especially when we go to say, hey, how do we actually make some requests, right? But we have to get to that request. And I feel like I'm bouncing around a little bit. Are you all following?
I'm tracking. I don't know how much of that vodka water bottle you had consumed before the show. So I'm just letting you roll. It's good. It's all good.
How you doing, Morag, over here? So no one wants to work anymore. The facts are 89% turnover. So what's the impact? I love to get into the impact because once we can really look at who are the stakeholders and what's the impact on the key stakeholders, now we can start making requests. So what's the impact on me if I'm a foreman in the organization? Well, it means I'm back on the tools 90% of the time.
Yeah.
It means I'm doing a job I was not hired to do. And the job I was hired to do with the stress of you didn't hit your numbers and you didn't do this and you didn't do that. And that makes it really hard, right? On the org, we're missing deadlines. We've got customer complaints. We're scrambling all the time. It's a fire drill every single day. Employees are burnt out and frustrated, which then increases the turnover rate of our employees that have made it past the 90 days. And the customer then tends to have some unmet expectations, which has a huge impact on bottom line again. So the key here is, all right, so what is the request I actually have that came out of no one wants to work anymore? Because guess what? I'm not listening to that complaint, are you? Because I don't know what it is you're actually talking about. But if the complaint is, the complaint is turned into a request saying, all right, the fact is we have an 89% turnover in the first 90 days. We can attribute it to we're not hiring the right people. So can we start to either look at really how do we need to bring in right people and only hiring them if they actually fit the role? So we're no longer hiring anyone with a heartbeat. We are, we're no longer hiring anyone with a heartbeat. What we are going to do is really set the expectations of this. So we created a scorecard that looked at culture, that looked at, the skill sets to do the job, but it also looked at the behaviors that match the job. We use predictive index in our business. There's tons of assessments out there. Don't care what you use, but I do believe you should be using something, right?
Yep.
So with that being said, we really took a look at what those key items were. And so we also got the leadership involved in the hiring process versus just HR. There is something about ownership of, Eric, if you're hiring me, you call me and you make the offer, not Ruby. Because now I have now I have an emotional connection to you because you are my manager and you are the one that's making that offer and you are the one I'm negotiating with. I'm not negotiating with HR anymore. I'm negotiating with you as my manager because you are my leader.
Right.
So that was one shift. The next shift that we did, we talked a little bit about how are we talking about our people?
Mm-hmm.
And how are we thinking about our people? Are we thinking that our frontline staff are indispensable and completely replaceable? Well, guess what? If we're thinking that, it comes out in our behaviors and our actions in the way that we talk to them. And they feel not valued, therefore they leave. So that started to shift. So, so the request was, well, are we treating them well that we would want to stay if we were in that role? If that answer is no, then we need to change what we're doing. The next thing that changed was they put a number of team members through, we run a leadership development program, very similar to what you do, it sounds like, Eric. So we run a leadership development program. They've put folks through that every cohort. I coached their HR director. I trained their HR team on key things of, some of these mechanic pieces. So those were all requests, right? Those were all dollar spends that was needed to say, hey, how do we solve this specific problem in order to shift it? And so, they requested that they change their hiring. They requested that leadership got involved in a different way. They requested support for their specific HR team in order to do that. And then a final piece was looking at who is going to be that best friend at work, right? So Eric, you're talking about what are those 4 things? And so we have a mentor program. Do you love that? The best friend at work. I know it is. So then within the mentor new hire buddy program, essentially we look at line level team members, and the program solves 2 issues. It solves the issue of turnover in the first 90 days, and it solves the very specific issue of the leadership vacuum issue in the organization. There's a third thing it solves, and that is, so often we promote people to people leadership roles that should be not in people leadership roles.
Really?
That's the drunk HR stories come into play. That's a difference. We'll get there. But with that, once we know, hey, what do these folks want for their own talent pathway plan, we can align that with our people strategy for the organization. And when we can marry those 2 things together, we're much more likely to keep folks in the long term. So we implemented the New Hire Buddy program within that organization. And so they had folks that were then mentoring others that had some leadership training, had some idea of how to ask some questions. How do we start to, turn some of these complaints into requests? Because we're not taught how to make a request. We're taught how to bitch, but we're not taught how to make a request. So there's my long-winded answer, Eric.
I love it. I love it. And as you're talking, I know this is happening within the context of a landscaping company, but it's people, right?
Yes.
So I'm listening to you talk and I'm thinking about the technology companies that we work with. Same principles apply, right? Mm-hmm. Same principles apply. Same management behaviors apply. And again, these are the things that you just talked about in that example, like just getting from the bitch to the request. Like that is a process. And it's not a thing that in any leadership training program I've been around or designed, it's not in there. Like it's an assumption. It's kind of like promoting the person that's really good at doing the thing into a job leading people, which is probably a job that they didn't even necessarily want, but it's the way you move up in the organization. And they're definitely not skilled to have because they've been doing this other job for the last X number of years.
Right.
So these little nuancy things like, how do I hear the request in the complaint? How do I navigate that conversation? I mean, that's a very nuanced skill that if you think about all the blanket assumptions that we make about people in leadership roles, I mean, think about the complexity in the conversation that you just described, Traci.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing. When you hear somebody bitching and it's about you, what happens?
Well, you just get defensive.
Some of this water here.
Yeah. You get defensive and explain to that person why they're wrong.
Exactly.
And you don't hear anything beyond the thing that got your dukes up, right?
Exactly. So do you see this plate behind me? You can't read it.
I can't read
but
it.
It says, I wonder what's on their plate that I don't yet know about. You want to know why that's there? So I stopped judging people all day long.
How's that working out for you, Traci?
Good.
Well, and it's funny. Ruby talks about this all the time. in the idea, the concept of the whole person, right? You know, Morag used to say when she started her career, her managers told her, leave your emotions at the door. This is work. This is not home, right? Whatever's going on there, you need to compartmentalize and park that shit because I need you to be work focused. But Ruby talks about this whole person concept. I mean, you're always a person. And if you are a rock star at work and something rattles your foundations at home, hey, guess what? You may not be a rock star today. And that's okay. But if I, as a leader, don't understand A, and B, have an appreciation for your whole life, I don't know your backstory, I don't know what's going on, I don't know that your 30-year-old millennial, or not anymore, right? Like 40-year-old millennial child has moved back into your house after you had made his room a gym, and now he's living on the couch. Like, that's going to show, it's going to impact how you show up at work.
Yeah.
But if I know that about you and I give you the space and grace that entails, I'm going to approach conversations with you differently, especially if we're talking about your performance.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And there's something, seasons of life is, you know, like there are certain seasons of life that come in. And I actually did a podcast with Sherry Simpson with Paylocity on seasons of life on my show, really around like, because at that point in time, well, I called Sherry and I'm like, Sherry, I'm struggling. She's like, why? I'm like, because I'm changing my name and I feel like I need to announce it on my podcast and I tried to record it 6 times and I can't. She goes, okay. And I go, so will you do a podcast with me called Seasons of Life? And she's like, yeah. So I talked about the divorce. She talked about 3 kids just moving out and like all these things and how we support employees through seasons of life, knowing there's some seasons they're going to be rock stars because they're climbing that ladder.
Sure.
And there's other seasons we just need to set some really clear expectations of here's the minimum and you can coast for a bit, but there's a bit and what support do you need?
Yeah, we have a tool that we use here at Sky Team, and it's called What's Your Number? And Morag and I were guest lecturing for the Pepperdine MBA program yesterday evening. And I told this story, right? So when you know your colleagues and the people on your team as whole people, and you have an appreciation for what's going on in their seasons of life, right? You can create rules that help you operate within that sort of sine wave of ups and downs. And so we have this tool called What's Your Number? And it's literally, it's a 1 to 10. And 10 is I'm fucking killing it, right? 1 is I got nothing, right? I'm out of gas, nothing in the tank. And we were having a planning meeting. It's a thing that we don't do very often. It's like an annual thing. Where we go through content and stuff and figure out what we're going to be when we grow up. Still working on that. So it's kind of prized time. It's exclusive. It's rare. And I'm a depression and anxiety kid. So I was going through an episode that was pretty bad. And the meeting was at my house. So they all show up and we're sitting around the kitchen table and having this conversation, and more I could see it on my face, right? It's not a secret. Everybody knows that I suffer. So she just asked me, what's your number? And I honestly answered, because I feel like I can do that in this team. I said, it's a 0 today. I got nothing. It's below 1. And to be able to say that in a team setting without fearing repercussion is a huge deal, right? Huge. So A, I felt like I could say it, but B, what do you think they did? What do you think they told me to do, Traci?
They supported you in what you needed at that point in time.
100%. They told me to go take a nap. They're like, go lay down, go recharge. And right, so I left them in my kitchen. I went to my bedroom. I laid down. I took a nap, and they cracked on. They did continue doing the thing that we were doing. And I didn't feel like I had to set an alarm. I didn't feel like, ooh, I can only be in here 15 minutes. Like, I know I face planted on the bed and passed out and was there until I got up. And then I came back out and they were still there and we reconnected. And, now I was maybe a 1.5 or a 2 and I had a little bit of juice and we finished out the day. Those connection points, the best friend at work thing that you mentioned, that's the subtitle of our book. Well, it was supposed to be until we got edited. But it's those things that make these team dynamics so powerful. And as leaders of teams, again, whether it's a group of landscaping contractors or software development coders, it doesn't matter. It's that appreciation for their whole lives and what's going on for them, what's on their plate that you don't know about. So when you're dealing with these sorts of dynamics, Traci, like I love this whole stop bitching and start pitching. Like when we get to the pitch part, how do you help them feel okay making that request? Because bitching is easy. Complaining is easy. Just ask anybody that works help desk at Comcast or Charter or any cable company. Nobody's calling them to tell them how awesome they are and what an ass-kicking job at customer service they're doing. They call when shit's broken, right? So complaining is easy. How do you help someone break out of the complaint to say the thing that they really want to say, especially if we're just sort of figuring our relationship out? Like, this is a new thing. I've been here, I don't know, a couple of months or whatever. Like, how do you help someone get to the request?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a huge amount of trust that has to happen and develop with a team. What I will say is there's certain organizations where it's like, is this possible? And a lot of times I'm having conversations with a business owner or with a manager around, do you really want them making requests? Because if so, you have to make it okay for them to make the request. If we go back to that permissioning piece. So if they start making requests and you don't honor them, you have lost your ability and to ask them for requests. And if you ever want to come back to that, it's going to be 1,000 times harder in the future. And so there is a huge cultural piece to this that they have to be ready for it. And some organizations are not. And some organizations have a culture that works for them, or at least they think it does, but I will never work for that organization, right? So, that being said, there is a key trust factor here. So with that, a lot of times it's training the leaders how to get curious. And training the leaders how to hold presence. And here's what I mean by presence. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not looking at email. I'm 100% here with the three of you. I'm making eye contact as well as we can on Zoom. We are 100% in the conversation. I'm not thinking about, oh, my son's driving home from Grand Forks. Like, I wasn't thinking, like, it took me a minute.
Now you are.
now I'm out, okay? But here's the thing. Like, when we're creating presence and holding that, my guess is you all feel that until I was distracted, right?
Ruby, you call this deep presence and you talk about this all the time. I mean, just double down on this. Tell us about your mindset around deep presence.
Yeah, it's very connected to everything you just said, Traci. It's the being really, 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 really here. Like phone off, Slack shut down, email shut down, even clearing your desk to some extent, especially in this environment. People can feel it. And I think of it almost as micro cuts sometimes. I think that feels a little aggressive, but I think it can really hurt in ways that people don't recognize. And Eric and I just did a team session with a few weeks ago with a team who was kind of working on some of that, and it was just interesting for them to start to recognize how their own presence as leaders is impacting the whole organization. So it's not only the one-to-one relationships, it's teams, and it trickles down in such a profound way that people don't even recognize it.
I was mean to them, wasn't I, Ruby? So this culture, it's a technology company, and it is a multitasking culture. Which, if you know brain science, you know that multitasking is a lie. We serial process. We can do it real fast. We may be able to multitask on rote, mundane tasks. But anything that involves presence, higher level thinking, or interaction, there is no such thing as multitasking. You are serial tasking back and forth, which is why in this culture, when we set up an activity, I explain said activity, and I will guarantee you with 100% efficacy, I would bet you thousands of Earth dollars. At least one person, when I say, okay, go, at least one person is going to say, I'm sorry, what are we doing? I'm like, I just took 10 fucking minutes to explain this exercise. And really? What? I'm sorry, what are we doing? So anyway, in this organization, this multitasking stuff happens all the time. We had one guy in this session who was in the room, had his laptop up, and was on his phone. And we got to the point where we were talking about deep presence, and I just kind of went apeshit on them. I said, you guys are terrible at this. Like, categorically the worst I have ever seen in all of my years of doing this. And it starts at the top of this organization. And this isn't like CEO level. This is like, group president level. So I can't speak for the whole org, but I can speak for this business unit that we're in. I'm like, I've seen it from the person at the top. I see it from everybody down the ladder. We're in a meeting. You two are slacking each other in the meeting about shit that's happening in the meeting and other stuff. Nobody is wholly present. Sometimes Ruby and I will be talking, we'll be lecturing a point, and we'll look at each other like, is anybody fucking listening right now? Because I see eyeballs doing this on screens. I can hear clickety clacking of keys, right? Like, you're not being slick. And you're not paying attention. And if you're not paying attention as the leader of that team, as a member of that team, I think, well, you don't care. You clearly don't care about what I'm saying because you're not paying attention to me.
Yep.
So I
this is a hot button for us.
Yeah, I kind of came on.
I didn't even know I was tripping over it.
I know. I kind of came unleashed on them. And Ruby was like, afterwards, we were sitting at the bar. She's like, wow. She's like, but good for you, because they just kept getting worse as the day went on. And I get it. Like, shit happens. You're in a workshop. Doesn't mean that the world stops spinning. Things still happen and things still may require your attention. But step out. Go be 100% present with that problem that requires your attention. Because right now, hotshot, you're not. You're not here. You're not there. You're not anywhere. Bless you.
Thank you. I'm like, did I hit the mute in time?
You did. So I love this. And it's so, thank you, Traci. It's just so reaffirming to hear that presence, and it's the simplest thing you can do. It is budget friendly. It costs $0.
So I'm curious, and this may be a hot tip for you, and I learned it from Moira. Oh my gosh, what is her name? She does negotiation, and she's brilliant at it. Anyway, but so she did a workshop with a group that I was with, and she spent the first 20 minutes talking about how to be present in the room, and that, and this is the importance
20
of
minutes.
presence. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Setting this stage. And it was literally, if you are not willing to put your phone away, put your computer away, not anywhere on your desk, nowhere on your desk, literally in the bag under your desk for the day, she asked you to leave.
I love it.
And then you had the folks that kept looking at their phone. And then she called it out. She goes, I don't call out, I'm sorry, your watch. She goes, I don't call out watches until I start seeing people sneak. She goes, you and you and you. I've seen it 3 times now. And you want to know every time you look at it, what happens? The meerkats go. We're all
the meerkats.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah.
Everybody looks. She goes, do you see how it's completely taking away from what we're doing as a group in the learning? And it was one of those that I started implementing in every single one of my sessions, to the point where I get pre-assessment information from the immediate leader of all the leaders in our program. And in the registration emails, I need you to understand that they are 100% present during these trainings, or I don't want them in the training. I need your support with this in order for this to be successful, so that you can get XYZ results. I've never had anyone tell me no. Steal it, Eric.
Because you come in and you are all half present, and then the training doesn't have the measurable impact that you hoped it would have. And suddenly that's my fault.
Exactly. So guess what? You can control that.
Yeah. Oh, the training sucked. It sucked when you paid attention half the time. You didn't attend the training. How would you even know it sucked?
Right?
Oh, I love it. So this concept, right? I love this thread that we've been talking about this whole time. And it's all about these sort of nuancy skills that as leaders, collectively, we just expect people to know, but they don't. So, so Traci, what's your advice to a new manager, someone who was a really good doer, who just got promoted to be a leader? Like, what would be your low level, base level, Maslow level 1 advice to this leader so that they could pay attention and start to develop these very nuancy skills?
Listen.
Yeah.
And there's power in silence.
You don't have to have all the answers as a leader. You don't have to know everything.
No, and silence is okay. How's your ice cube over there?
It's getting smaller.
And the other thing I would say is humor. Humor has such a huge way of bringing people together if it's done appropriately. And I think
or if it's done inappropriately.
I mean, whatever. It can be inappropriate too. I don't want the sexual harassment claim,
Yes.
We're getting back into the drunk HR stories, and I just,
So as we're winding down here, I want to touch on drunk HR because it's an evolution of a concept that Morag and I have been talking about for 15 years called naked and bunny slippers, which is essentially drunk HR. But before we do that, Ruby, Morag, do you have questions? Anything you want to ask Traci before I have her give us where her information lives on the interwebs?
I have one. So I do this. We do this. We talk about leaders. Leaders have to fix this. Leaders need to show up. And we're all leaders in our own lunchtime. But maybe I'm not the team leader. What advice do you have for little me in either asking for what I need and not getting shot down, or help me
Team
versus waiting for them to go first?
So my favorite question to this is, Morag, what can you control?
I have to take my own medicine. But you're right. It's easy to wait for everybody else, or they're not doing it, so I'm not doing it.
Right. And so the question is, what can you control? I can control my thoughts and I can control my actions. Amazing. So, we're going to go stop bitching and start pitching again. Maura, what are the concerns that you have? I'm going to walk through that. I said, okay, so what can you control about those concerns? Well, I can do X, Y, or Z. Maybe it's setting boundaries. Maybe it's setting expectations. Eric, we just talked about expectation setting because I got sick of folks showing up on this the entire time that they were in a conversation with me, right? And I'm like, and I got tired of, well, what's the ROI on your training, Traci?
Oh, God.
Well, guess what? If your folks don't show up, it's not an appropriate ROI on me because they're not there. So what could I control? I could control the environment. And so that question, Morag, for you or anyone that is not that direct leader is, what's the complaint? What can you control, right? So we're going complaint, kind of here, we kind of skip the facts and we're going into what's the impact on you? And then what are your options to change it, right? Kind of back to the control. I can make a request. I can set my boundaries. I can set the expectations within it, right? There's lots of different things. What happens is I find, well, let me ask, do you feel more empowered from that? I gave you the answer I wanted. Sorry. Perspective, but
yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that control thing is such a powerful lever. We use a tool called the control circle, where you just draw a circle on a piece of paper and you put all of your bitches on the paper, but you have to put them inside the circle if it's within your control and outside the circle if it's not. And the kicker is if it's outside the circle into the area that you can't control, you have to go 3-1. You put down some bitch on the outside of the circle. Now you got to put 3 things inside the circle that you can't control.
I might steal that one.
Take it. It's free.
Like it. I know. Do you like all the sharing, the collaboration piece today? It's so much. And that's another key piece is like we're joking about it, but if we don't collaborate, we are not great as individuals. We are great when we collaborate and we bring the different perspectives together.
Yeah. Ruby says it when we show up together because of our different styles, preferences, tendencies, right? The results are very different than if we go the battle alone. Right. That's why Morag coined hashtag better together. All right, Ruby, anything from you?
No, awesome. Thank you so much. Good stuff.
All right. So just to put it out into the universe, back, I don't know, probably 12 or 13 years ago, Morag and I, having had careers in the people side of business for a long time, at that point in time, I had spent at that point probably 20 years in HR, and we had worked in and around HR for at least that long. And we were sitting somewhere, probably in a establishment that sells alcoholic beverages, and we were having a conversation about books because Morag had just written her first book, and we were like, you know what book we should write? There it is, Cultivate the Power of Winning Relationships, 2nd edition, just released. Find it at all good booksellers. So we were having this conversation about what book should we write that would be fun. And we started telling stories about that we heard or collected in our time in and around HR. And when Traci and I got together a few weeks ago to prep for this conversation, we had a very similar conversation, but her title was better than ours. I like Drunk HR. It's just like, it's like all those books with fuck in the title now, right? Like all the Mark Manson books and stuff. Drunk HR, I can see it in giant letters that takes up like, 3/4 of the cover of the book. So Traci, talk a little bit about what drunk HR means to you before we sign off here today.
Absolutely. And this is this idea that we've not taken anywhere yet. So, Eric, are we doing something? And Ruby, are we doing something?
I mean, we're just putting it into the universe, Traci, to see what happens.
All right. So here's the idea. I want to hear all the drunk HR stories that we tell each other in the bar that we're like, can you believe XYZ threw a come along across the field at somebody's head? Can you believe that the guy cut the brake line, which, by the way, is a felony because that could have killed someone and nothing happened with it? Can you believe? Like, these are fun. I mean, the SpongeBob.
The brake line one's not so fun, but generally speaking, they're fun.
But like, like the SpongeBob with a Hello Kitty, like
smelling of alcohol, that's pretty fun. That's pretty fun. I've had to send people home from conferences because of their behavioral choices, either alone or with coworkers. Yeah. I've had to have conversations with someone about what transpired in their car with another coworker because they didn't realize there were cameras in the parking garage. Yeah. I got a million of them, Traci. I got a million of them. I got punched in the face one time during a termination meeting. Desk turned over, punched in the face.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
If you have drunk HR stories and you're interested in this idea or this concept, hit me up. Let me know. It's eric@skyteam.com. And we'll just we'll sort of gauge this level of energy and attention. And if it feels right, Traci, we'll follow that lead. What do you think?
Amazing. I love it. I love it.
All right. So
our HR job is hard, and there's times we just need some levity to it.
100%.
Like, what did you do in that one when you got a punch thrown at you?
Yeah. If we were sitting in the bar, I'd tell you the whole story. Well, Traci, how do people find you out there on the wild, wild interwebs?
Absolutely. So we are at elevatedtalentconsulting.com. We have a podcast called the People Strategy Podcast. And if you want that tough talk blueprint, which is what we just kind of walked through with that framework, I have that for you too. Oh, and the sun's coming in, so now I'm glowing.
Well, look at you. Right as you're making your marketing pitch. It's perfect timing from the universe. All right. I've got that link, and I will put that in the show notes when my production team does production. And by production team, I mean this guy. So with that, Traci, thank you so much. This has been super fun. Had a great time having this conversation. Let's quickly do our end of show ritual, our funny things, good feels, and silly, silly cocktail. Funny things are just stupid shit from the internet that made Eric laugh this week. You know how we're in the age of Grubhub and DoorDash and all the foods, or Uber Eats, all the food service delivery situations. And a lot of them do the just porch drop off. They put your food on the porch and they take off. Well, this dude came home to get his McDonald's, and this is what he found.
Oh, no.
That's a squirrel who had ripped open the side of the bag and started eating his French fries, which I thought was pretty awesome. So I was in this sort of laughing at still pictures of things that happen in the real world. And this is a picture of someone's bathroom. And I love the way this picture is framed and set up here. This is it's the back of a toilet, and it's it says picture in my bathroom. Next to the giant can of Febreze is a picture of a Barbie doll or some sort of doll with eyes wide, mouth just disgusted.
What's a poopery?
Oh God.
This one is from I think everyone over a certain age can relate. Kids today are missing out on the pre-streaming era where childhood was at least partially defined by some semi-obscure movie your family just happened to own on tape that you watched several dozen times.
Yes.
Yeah. Silver Streak, Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. It was a movie that wasn't very famous, didn't do very well. For some reason, my dad owned it on videotape and must have watched that movie 300 times.
Secondhand Lions.
Secondhand Lions. Yeah. It's another one of my dad's favorites. I'm sensing a theme. All right. Next funny thing. Thinking about the time I showed my hairdresser the haircut I want, and he said, Derek, that's the same haircut I give you. That guy's just better looking.
Oh my God, yes. Like, why do I look hot right now?
Seriously. This is a building. This building is actually in Thornton, Colorado. And it is a bank building that some of the letters have either fallen off or been removed. And this is about empathy. My feelings exactly building. It's a Wells Fargo building that S and Argo have fallen off, and it just says, well, F. But my favorite funny thing today is this is brilliant marketing if you are over 40, I would say, because it's a song from the 90s, and I'm going to let you read it until I see your faces recognize that you're singing it in your head. It's about caulking. Well, there goes Ruby right now. It says, I would caulk 500 tiles and I would caulk 500 more. Now I have an advertisement stuck in my head. Genius.
Rogue 2.
Rogue 2. Today's good feel stories. Man, I saw so many of these today because we've been dark for a few weeks and I had some catching up to do. I was literally sobbing at my desk for like 45 minutes this afternoon. This was the least sobby of the bunch. Pretty sobby. This is Steve doing Steve things.
Steve Hartman has the story of a mother whose love knows no bounds.
Anybody else want to eat? Destiny?
Faith in humanity right there.
Aww.
Incredible.
14.
14. Yeah, God bless her. Well, today's semi-quarantine cocktail is called it's the dun-dun-dun. It's a riff on the Ellipsis cocktail and a shameless plug for a piece that I wrote a few weeks ago because of something I learned from my Gen Z daughter. You need a little bit of rum. Like I said, it was a thing I didn't know. Some tawny port. My daughter told me some Chinar. She and her sister had a conversation about it. A little bit of triple sec, so I wrote about it. The use of ellipses in your text-based communications to people of a certain age, younger than me, decided that means something ominous or that I am mad. And I actually had this conversation. My daughter, she said, hey, can I talk to you? Which, I mean, that's ominous right there. I said, yeah, sure. She said, it's about your text. I'm like, oh, shit. Like, what do you mean it's about my text? Well, you know how you use ellipses. And I'm like, well, yeah. She said, it's ominous or you might be mad. And I thought in that moment that it was the bouncing ellipsis that you know, when somebody's typing and you're waiting to get the response, I'm like, oh, do I take too long to type? And she said, oh, no, Dad, you're not getting it. I'm like, oh, okay. She said, no, it's the actual use of the 3 dots at the end of a sentence, or you do it all the time between sentences, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I do. She's like, yeah, it's pretty off-putting. Really? Yeah, she's like, her sister talked about it more than once.
I'm sitting here going, what's an ellipses? Until you're like, dot, dot, dot.
And I'm like, wow, had no idea the stress and anxiety I was causing in their lives. And then we went on to have a deeper conversation about just how people who grew up with texting and asynchronous text-based communications, the weird rules and stories that either have become generally accepted or that they just use for their own sort of lens. Like, she let me know that, exclamation points can be aggressive. So if you want to use an exclamation point, but soften it and make it more excitement than agitation, you put a space first. So you end your sentence, space, exclamation point. That's this kind of exclamation point versus this kind of exclamation point. And I was like, okay. Now I understand why my grandfather said, I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. With that, it's dinner time, everybody. Thanks to Traci Austin for being here today. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We will be off next week and then back June 11th for a few weeks in a row. So until then, take care. Have good dinners, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you had a good time and learned a thing or two at today's happy hour, please share it with your friends. If you want to join our tribe, head on over to skyeteam.cloud/TCB or email us at info@skyeteam.com. That's SKYE team.com. Thanks again, and remember, you've always got friends at the Corporate Bartender.